I'm going to do is explain deck beam lamination to IFCA while I'm away working and making some money. We have laminated numerous deck beams. They're all Tas oak or celery top. It's often a mix and match. Doesn't have to be perfect quality. We use epoxy, apply a thin coat to both layers, and then a thick coat of thickened epoxy. The lamination, it's a constant camber. It's a full circle lofted out on a table basically. Our rise is a 1/4 inch per foot, I think. So the camber, the height it rises over a foot, I think is a 1/4 inch. It's been 2 years since I made this table, so I've forgotten it, is the height. That's quite flat, reasonably flat, but it's nice. I like the look of it. So I'm just going to explain how to do this. What I've done is flat packed a heap of stock that I've prepped. These are in packs of laminations ready to go with labels. So the bottom face needs to be a good board, because that's the side you paint, you want it smooth. The top is not so necessary, but usually I have the top good as well. And then all the middle doesn't matter, I sort of mix and match. And then with the grinder and the sanding disc, you've got to run across every face in between. So that's quick, you just go meow, 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 rough it up and rough all of them up. And then remember not to rough up the bottom one, because I've done that, it's bad to paint. And then there's one for each side. So these are cockpit sides, so port and starboard. And on the laminating table, I have an X and an O to mark the sides, because our jig could be slightly out. We always keep the same side on the boat the whole way down, so that if there is a slight difference in the lamination, it's replicated the whole way down the boat. So when you're laminating, you have one side over here. The span doesn't matter, because basically I just go from, say, you start here and end in the middle, and you make one end like flat, so all the planks are flat, and pop it in, clamp it on and bend it around. So this is the O side. So that's actually port side. And this side's the X side. I've actually got an X up there. And that's starboard. So I just do all the mixing and thinning here. So you just thin it out, wet it, roll it down, then put a thick layer on it. Yeah. And then clamp it and work in. When you're doing, this one is actually, it's a bit hard to see, but this is the centre. Yeah. So when you're doing one of the full deck beams, got a centre, and then always mark the centre and always mark the X and O before you get excited and take it off the jig. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter yet which one is X and O, it just only matters once it's glued up.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all, but they're pairs, so they're all grouped in pairs, so they work together. Yeah. And because it's constant camber, it doesn't really matter where you set it on the jig like that. I just go from the outside. Yeah. But when you're doing a full deck beam, you've got 2 to do. Yeah. Set the centre and then make sure it's roughly in
and
the
then I mark X and O on that, on the long one as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So that is
Lamination 101.
Nice. Yeah, and that means then we're sort of almost done with deck beams, because we've done everything until aft.
We've got maybe six sets to do, and that's it.
And then we still need the, what are they called, the in-betweeners?
Oh, carlins.
Carlins.
Only need carlins at the aft hatches, and I haven't worked out if we're going to have 2 or 1. Yeah. I think 2 on each side's better, because then the tiller's not in the way, but then it's more to stand on, so it's a bit... Yeah. Because if that's done, and then you can just paint all that. Yeah. Because then that'd be good. And then I'll just come in when I'm back and slam in all these deck beams. And then while we're painting, we'll dry fit them, and then we'll dry fit the deck, and then we'll have like a week of painting, and then the deck will go on. Because I reckon we can get the fuel tanks in the cockpit. We won't put the cockpit in for a long time,
Yeah.
because then it's a really nice working space in there. And then we'll have to put a bulkhead for the lazarette, work out, yeah, that sort of stuff. But then I think that would be the priority.
But that is priority for getting the aft section of the deck on, which then opens up the world of the second layer of decking, fiberglassing,
Hatches,
bearing the hull
should
hatches.
really get that skylight varnished,
Yeah.
get that done.
It's a bit cold, but yeah.
Yeah,
You can set the heater up in a tent.
I think so. Because once the second layer of deck on, then the cabin sides can be built. Because we also want to glass the cabin sides and top down, so that's kind of maybe you don't want to glass the deck straight away. You want to build the cabin sides and the hatches. Don't know.
It's always intertwined. It is always intertwined, my little Obie.
So yeah, you just got to make sure you rough everything up,
Rough it all up. Yeah, I've seen,
wet it down. We've seen me do it heaps times.
like, we've done it all 2 years ago. Well, mostly you.
Oh, Obie. You a bit cold, mate?
You're such a tough dog. So tough. You are so tough. Yeah.
Are you filming?
Just a bit of like scenery shot.
Oh, yeah. So I'm notching in the deck beams for the cockpit. Working down, they're about a foot spacing, roughly. They're laminated Tas oak and celery, whatever sort of stuff we have lying around. There's a few different ways to put a deck beam in, like everything, and this is our way of doing it. So I'm notching into my carlin, my cockpit carlin, with just your standard sort of rebate here, lap joint, I don't know which you call it actually. That goes in. I've taken a notch out, just fully out of the beam shelf, the shear clamp, and then I'll just reduce. I take about 20 mil off there. That rebates in, and then it's quite a tension fit because it's got notches on each ends. And then I punch a couple of screws down, keep it together, obviously be glued together. But this is a full dry fit, and then we remove it, paint it, make it look good, and then bed it back in. Do you want me to show you the windows?
I've got to paint one in first.
Okay. That's two down. Yeah.
A couple of episodes ago, Obie starred in the end screen of a video thanking you all for watching, and obviously without my knowledge he snuck in there that he was clearly starving and needed some snacks to sustain himself. And to my biggest surprise, I got a note in the mail saying that there was a parcel at the post office addressed to one Obie Morris. So I'm very excited to see what's in here. Obie, where did this come from? Come up here. Come up, sit down. Can you smell that there's something in here? What is in here? What is this? Is that for you? Did you get treats? Did you get treats? You got away. Are you starving? Are you a starving boy? Is that so nice? This has been very, very sweet. Thank you so much. Isn't that so nice, Obie? There's even a note. To Obie Morris. It says, "Dear Obie, we hear you are partial to a snack. So here are some treats for you. Our pup Chica loves them. All the best to you. Roger and Heather." That is so sweet. That is very, very sweet. Oh, they will come in very handy as we've got a lot of fiberglassing still to do. Well, Roger, Heather, you've definitely made our day. That was extremely thoughtful and so sweet. Oh, you love them. Did you say thanks to Chica? Thanks, Chica, for being a good test dog for the best treats. Are you feeling a little bit better now, Obie? Not starving anymore.
So this deck beam could go there. It's very close spacing, but then a knee can come under here.
Instead of the fashion piece, or?
Yeah, well, fashion piece will be further back, but because the main sheet horse will probably be here. So you have this, you know, like that cast bronze thing that comes up here. It's like a track to your main sheet. And then generally it runs to a block and a couple of winches either side. And then that means your tiller would be under that, but that'll be fine.
Under what?
Under the horse, so the horse goes over.
Oh, yeah. And then your blocks will run just over the tiller.
Yeah. That comes up probably, well, yeah, about there. So yeah, then you have the tiller like that. But then we have to put a hatch somewhere, which is the next thing. So this is quite close, these deck beams. I don't think that matters very much. Because you want to hatch, like you want to store stuff in here, so we also need to think about where we're going to put bulkhead. And it's probably going to go on this face, down and around, so then that's all sealed off.
So then will it be one big open space which you access from one side of the deck beam?
Yeah. Now a good set of plans again. Yeah, here we are. So yeah, and that one has the hatches.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see here how the tiller comes up. And then there's a horse over it.
Oh yeah.
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 So that's
So
the
he's-
gaff version. We never drew a deck plan with the medium. So the gaff version is slightly different because the boom's longer. So you can put the horse further back. So he's put it right back, but we'll have to have it over the top of the tiller, which sort of puts it where those hatches are almost. deck beams down there. Oh. What I have here is a very funky looking knee. It's quite a tight corner. On the last deck beam aft, we'll have the horse for the main sheet. That is sort of a bronze cast. It can be a track as well if you're really getting into sail trim and how to trim the sail, but we'll probably just have a bar running across with the block that slides each side. So that straddles the tiller essentially. And because there's such high loads on the horse, we'd like to make sure that the deck beam to frame connection is very strong, because you imagine how much force is on that taking the main sheet when you're powered up. So what we're doing is making a couple of knees each side of the deck beam to connect the frame and the deck beam. It's very tight and small there. Laminating would be quite tricky this arc, so I'm using solid stock Jarrah that I've ripped in half of our rather large planks that you've seen that we used for the rudder also. So I've managed to rip one piece in half now. I'm going to send it through the thicknesser and then scribe my pattern on and see how it goes. Yeah. Yeah, this is a little bit interesting. I can always come away. So what I've got here is my massive knee from Jarrah. And because our frames are not plumb, everything is slightly more tricky. Plumb meaning vertical. So I've stepped this deck beam in to the beam shelf. pin it in. Now I'd like a big knee to attach to this frame and this deck beam, but because the frame is not straight, I have to taper everything in. So what I'm going to do is cut an angle on this knee here so that I retain a bit of meat and slowly slide it in, which is going to be interesting. Now we can still get a bolt through here and then bolts that way into this deck beam. That is the plan.
The grand plan.
I mean, ideally it would span longer, but this sort of helps quite a bit. Grain orientation, I was stuck with how big the wood was, so I had to go with what we had. But I think it's quite strong the way it is.
It looks massive there.
Well, it won't look so big when I plane this down. Good morning. I've finished the two knees. This jarrah is incredibly strong timber. It's not too bad to work with, but it's dense, you can feel it. So the plan is now to glue a knee either side of the deck beam. There'll be 2 bolts I've drilled, so I've pre-drilled everything. 2 bronze bolts will go through here and through the deck beam, tightened up. I've got, God forbid, a stainless screw here, coach screw. That will help locate it while I'm gluing this together. And then at a later stage, I'll drive a copper bolt through here and through the frame and through the hull and sync that up, tighten it up. So that'll keep it very strong around this area. I'm quite happy with that. They're a little bit tricky to make with all the bevels, as I explained before, but I'm quite happy with the outcome. Unfortunately, they will be painted. You will never see these. This is one of these jobs where you make something you like, it's quite nice, but you will probably never see them ever again. But that's life. So we'll use a bit of epoxy, thickened epoxy. I'll glue the deck beam down, fasten that. Then I'll place the knee in, drive the coach screw in, 2 bolts at the top. Hope that holds it, and then run a copper bolt through the hole outside.
The last of the deck beams. So these have all been glued up and fitted. and sanded, and now they'll be painted. They are a layer cake of different timbers, mostly what we've had lying around in the shed. So this one's got, all of them have mostly Tasmanian oak. This one's got some celery top pine and maybe even some blackwood, the really dark ones. Now we know that they look very pretty, and we've been asked before why we decided to paint them and not varnish them. But that's mostly a decision made with the future in mind. Redoing varnish overhead on deck beams with a deck on is a tough job. So we're going for paint. And they also look amazing painted. What do you think, Obie? Go for a walk first and then paint?